Welcome to our journey through the rich tapestry of Australia's history. From the ancient Aboriginal cultures that date back tens of thousands of years to the modern, vibrant society it is today, Australia's story is one of resilience, diversity, and constant evolution. Our narrative begins in the mists of time, long before European colonization, with the Indigenous peoples who have inhabited the land for over 65,000 years. These diverse groups of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples developed unique languages, customs, and spiritual beliefs deeply connected to the land. They lived in harmony with nature, practicing sophisticated land management techniques and establishing complex social structures. In 1770, Captain James Cook, representing the British Crown, landed on the east coast of Australia, claiming it for Britain. This marked the beginning of European exploration and eventual colonization of the continent. In 1788, the First Fleet, led by Captain Arthur Phillip, arrived in Botany Bay and established the first European settlement at Port Jackson, later known as Sydney. This event marked the beginning of profound changes for the Indigenous peoples as British settlers began to encroach on their land, leading to conflict, dispossession, and the erosion of traditional ways of life. The 19th century saw the expansion of European settlement across the continent, driven by the discovery of gold and the desire for agricultural land. This period witnessed violent clashes between settlers and Indigenous peoples, frontier wars, and the forced removal of Indigenous children from their families, known as the Stolen Generations. Despite this dark chapter, Indigenous cultures persisted, and resistance movements emerged, advocating for land rights and recognition of Indigenous sovereignty. Australia's federation in 1901 marked the unification of 6 British colonies into a single nation, with the Commonwealth of Australia officially established on January 1st. This event paved the way for the development of a unique Australian identity, blending British heritage with the rugged landscapes and diverse cultures of the continent. The 20th century brought significant social and political changes to Australia. The aftermath of World War I saw the nation grapple with economic hardship and social unrest, leading to the rise of the labour movement and the establishment of the welfare state. World War II further shaped Australia's identity as the nation fought alongside its allies against Axis powers in the Pacific Theatre. In the post-war era, Australia experienced a period of rapid economic growth and cultural transformation. The mass migration program brought waves of immigrants from Europe and Asia, diversifying the population and enriching the country's cultural fabric. The 1960s and 70s saw social upheaval and calls for reform, including the recognition of Indigenous rights, women's liberation, and opposition to the Vietnam War. The latter half of the 20th century saw Australia embrace its role as a multicultural nation, celebrating diversity and promoting social inclusion. Indigenous activism gained momentum, culminating in the landmark 1967 referendum, which granted Indigenous Australians full citizenship rights and empowered the federal government to legislate on Indigenous affairs. In recent decades, Australia has continued to evolve, facing new challenges and opportunities in an increasingly globalized world. The 21st century has seen debates over immigration, asylum seekers, climate change, and Indigenous reconciliation shape the national discourse. Despite these challenges, Australia remains a vibrant democracy committed to upholding the values of freedom, equality, and justice for all its citizens. As we conclude our journey through Australia's history, we are reminded of the resilience and spirit of its people who have overcome adversity time and again to forge a nation that is as diverse as it is dynamic. From the ancient traditions of the First Nations to the bustling cities of the modern era, Australia's story is one of triumph, transformation, and endless possibility.